Yeah. Yo, Black, it's time. Shout out to the chat. I want to start off by giving my acknowledgement to some new subscribers and letting you guys know I appreciate all my subscribers. So, first off the bat, who we got? Aaron N, new subscriber. Appreciate you, bro. Yes, sir. Joshua Rivera, new subscriber. Appreciate you, bro. Wilson Dang, new subscriber. Appreciate you, bro. And Get Up Intellect, new subscriber. Appreciate you, my guy. So I had to get that out the way. I know I don't acknowledge you guys often. I'll be focused on my guests, my panel. So again, I appreciate all you guys for subscribing, tuning in. I'm trying to give you something different every time. Um, and I gotta give a shout out to Sim, of course, the Podfather, the inspiration for me starting my channel. Freezy, Big Freezy, Blanche Tears. Shout out to him, always showing me love. You know, behind the scenes and on camera. So salute. Today I want to talk about the Atlanta Hawks. And the Atlanta Hawks have been trolling the Knicks if you haven't been paying attention. And if you've seen my the screenshot before I went live, they got Home Alone 2 reenactment with Julius in the background and Noel in the background playing the two thieves. And uh they got the Macaulay Culkin redhead, um what's his name, Kevin, no, what's his name, the guy, the white guy on the Hawks, the shooter, small forward. So they trolling the Knicks. They asked Julius Randle about the Christmas Day game. It's just another game to him. And that's the mentality I like. You know, uh, you got Trey Young playing the villain role, and I don't know, man. I think he thrived in that role, and we're gonna have to step up. And my question for the chat, and everybody else is there a rivalry brewing? The Knicks haven't really had a real rivalry in years because we haven't made the playoffs in years. So does a first round series constitute a rivalry, or do you have to play that team two times in the playoffs, or do the regular season games, does that contribute to a rivalry? Because there was talks about the Knicks net rivalry, and a lot of people argued, it's not a rivalry. It can't be a rivalry. The Knicks suck. But Knicks Nets, I think no matter what, whether they both good, whether one's good, the other one's not, whether they're both bad, that's always going to be a rivalry. You know, that's the unfair fight for the city, because the Knicks will always have the city. But yeah, that's what I want to know. Is a rivalry brewing between the New York Knicks and the Atlanta Hawks? Is this a rivalry, or are we on our way there? I think it is. I think the atmosphere of that first round playoff series automatically made it a rivalry. The way us fans at the Garden was treating Trey Young, third possession into the game, FU, I think that made it a rivalry right off the jump. And the fact that they're feeding in and they're trolling us, I think that contributes to it being a rivalry right now. So yeah, what do you guys think, man? Is it a rivalry? This guy Eric, salute Eric. He says, yeah, it's entertaining for both teams. I think it is too. You know, I think it is too. I definitely do. And I think it brings for a great atmosphere, little subplots to go on throughout the season. Christmas Day game, that's important. Everybody don't get to play on Christmas. It used to be our you know, what they did all the time for us, and we started losing, and they took us off those games. But it looks like we back. We back on national televised, you know, more televised games. It looks like the Knicks is back, man. Well, I want to know what y'all think about this rivalry. Is it a rivalry yet? Do we have to play them again in the playoffs for it to be a rivalry? Is it building up? What's your thoughts on that? I'm gonna get back to that though. On a side note, we officially re-signed Derrick Rose, so that's great news. You know, nothing's official till the pen hits the paper, and the announcements has been made. So Derrick Rose is back. Welcome Derrick Rose back for sure. Um, Big time contributor to us making the playoffs, and as we know, he was one of the few guys that showed up, and now he's got some legitimate help. He don't have to play. Excuse me. He don't got to play 32 minutes and carry us. He could come in with a good 20, 25 minutes and give us his best basketball every minute he's on the floor. Cuts, kicks, and nicks. Salute. Appreciate you, bro. I'm out here talking about Atlanta Hawks and them trolling us. And is it a rivalry yet? Are we building to that? Appreciate you jumping on. Let's see what else we got in here. Brian Wilford. Look like both current rosters. I feel Atlanta and New York have perfect matchups to each position. Hopefully Mitch and Kemba can make the difference. Yeah, I agree. I think we were definitely missing Mitch in the playoffs, and we know what we got or didn't get from Elfrid, and then we had to rely on Derrick Rose coming in, and then Derrick Rose starting affected our bench play. So yeah, it was a trickle down effect, and let's not forget Fournier. Throw him in that mix. If he could at least be a solid defender, I think the improvement he gives on offense is vital. Vital. Excuse me, guys. Bring my guy Sim into the chat. What's going on, Sim?
Hello with your brother. How you feeling, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just having a quick talk. Shouted out some of my new subscribers. Something I got to get accustomed to doing.
Oh, no
So
doubt.
I think I'm gonna start my shows off like that and just show some love back.
No doubt. Shout out to them,
Um,
man. Shout out to them.
yes, for sure. Um, so what I was talking about here was Atlanta Hawks trolling us. I'm sure you saw the tweet that they sent out or
Uh-huh.
whatever. And then my question was, is it a rivalry or is it on its way to a rivalry? Can we consider it a rivalry after one series, or do you got to face them a couple times for it to become a series, or do you have to win one after losing one, or So what's your thoughts on that? Is it a rivalry yet? Are we on our way?
I think we're
Is
on our way. I don't
on
think
our
we're there
way?
yet. I think we're on our way. You know what I mean? I think we'll see what happens this season. I think we'll tell you a little bit more. Not even the playoffs, but just this season, right? Like we host the Hawks at the Garden on Christmas Day, right? And I don't know if that's the first time we play them because the schedule hasn't come out yet. But let's say Trey Young hits a dagger to beat us. You know what I'm saying? The players do a little trash talking, and then the next time we play them, we hit a dagger. RJ hits a dagger to beat them, and then we meet again in the playoffs. And it's a tight 7-game series. Then I'm gonna say, okay, it's a rivalry.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I think right now we need to see. Let's see if Let's see what happens throughout the season. See if maybe we play them again in the playoffs. Because when we look at all the old rivalries, all of those teams, the Pacers, the Miami Heat, the Chicago Bulls, those rivalries really came because we met them multiple times in the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
not just once. And so, in order to meet the Hawks multiple times in the playoffs, both of us got to be good teams.
Yeah,
Right? So
I
we can,
mean
you know,
that
second round, Eastern Conference Finals, whatever.
I had just mentioned that a little bit earlier. That was the argument with the Nets and the Knicks for a long time. You know, some people would argue it wasn't a rivalry because we weren't good and they were, and vice versa. But I think that's always going to be a rivalry just because it's New York, it's so
Exactly.
close.
Right.
But yeah, for the most part, yeah, we got to be good at the same time, and you got to meet. I say at least two times. If you lose twice, it may only be it may not even be a rivalry then.
Right.
You might have to win a series and lose a series, and,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean. But that takes at least two times.
And
You know.
something's got to happen. You know what I mean? Like you could play a team a bunch of times and lose to them, and
Hmm.
it's just like, all right, oh well. Yeah,
Yeah, that
I
to
guess
me that's I'm sorry to cut you, but that's getting over the hump as opposed to a rivalry. You know
right.
what I mean? Like Jordan had to get over the hump of Detroit. That wasn't a rivalry. If you talk to them Detroit players, they didn't look like they didn't look at Jordan or the Bulls as a threat. You know what I mean? They didn't look at them series as a rivalry. They looked like they just in our way on our path.
Right.
But until you win some and lose some, you know
Exactly.
what I mean?
Exactly.
It's
And
gotta be a rivalry.
and with the Knicks and the Nets, like you said, it's just a natural rivalry because we're in the same city. Right. So it's just a naturally you're gonna be rivals. It's just I mean, the Knicks and Nets been rivals even before they were in Brooklyn, to tell you the truth. Right? Even though the Nets were in the Meadowlands, it was close enough that it was still a local team that it was like, okay, who do the fans like the most? Who has, more of the market share, all that kind of stuff. So it was still kind of a rivalry, even at that point. Now it's obviously, a lot deeper than that.
No, that's facts. Shout out to Quiet Money. I see you. He says, do you feel Kemba is really sincere about playing here because he could have came here when he was a free agent and snubbed us? I mean, I don't know if he actually snubbed us. Because I don't know what the negotiations. We could have not been on the same page. It may have come from outside at that time. Um, but at this moment, 100%, I believe he's sincere. Even if he chose not to come before, he has to be sincere now. One, it's not like we picked him up off waivers, so he chose to come here now or on his own. So that was his decision. He could have went to any team he wanted. Once nobody picked him up off the waiver. Um, so yeah, he's sincere. I think he has always wanted to play here. I think we're in a better situation now than we were when he had the opportunity to come as a regular free agent.
Yeah.
So I doubt he wanted to come here and not be in a better situation than Charlotte, and there was no guarantee that we were then.
Right. And I think as fans, we've got to put it in perspective and say, just because a player longs to, be in a certain city or wants to be in a certain city or wants to play for his hometown, um, they, they also have to look at what's best for their career. And at that moment, it may not have been best for his career. You know what I'm saying? To go to the Knicks, you got to see, okay, where's the fit? Where am I going to be the most successful? It's kind of like any person in life. You know what I mean? Like you may have a career goal to work at a certain place, but when it comes time and you have the opportunity there, that place is like, well, we can only give you, you know, $10 an hour, and this place is like, we can give you 20. Where you going? You know what I'm saying? Especially if you got a family to support. You know, you know what I mean. So it's like, I think you got to look at it like that. He had to
Yeah.
do what was best for his career at the moment.
Oh, you want the link? Let me give me a second. I got you. I got you. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, I agree. The Knicks Nets will always be a rivalry. The Atlanta Hawks, I think the theatrics are definitely playing into this becoming a rivalry.
Right.
It's definitely helping. Um,
And, and and let me say this: if there's any Atlanta fans watching right now, you guys are longing for a rivalry. You need a rivalry so that you can be relevant on a national stage. Atlanta, right? Because if you look at all the years in the NBA, you can look at the Miami Heat, and the Heat got rivals, especially the Knicks. The Bulls got rivals. The Pacers got rivals. The Celtics, the Philadelphia 76ers. Who are the rivals of the Atlanta Hawks? And when do you look at the Hawks and just be like the Hawks never really had that kind of cachet. So I think the Hawks themselves they would love to have that kind of a rivalry with the New York Knicks.
mm.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's going to help to bring some cachet to the Hawks. You know what I mean? Because right now they're kind of missing that cachet.
What's going on, Denny?
Young maybe can bring it.
Tony, what's good?
Nah, I agree. I agree. They have all the motivation, and what I mean, the motivation where you hear Julius Randle. His quote was, "It's just another game,"
Mm-hmm.
and that's the motto I think that we need to take. I got a question about Trey Young and him being labeled as the villain, because the way I look at it, I don't think he's the villain anywhere other than in the Garden. You know what I mean? Like I don't think outside of us Knicks fans and the atmosphere that we let him feel, and the fact that he thrived in it. Um, I I think we made him the villain here, but he's not the villain anywhere else. You look at the media; they didn't label him the villain. That's not the narrative. The narrative is, he was, if anything, the hero. You know what I mean? Like, so. But what's your thoughts of that so called villain narrative for Trey Young?
Who you talking to, Danny or
I
me?
mean,
Oh,
either one of you guys can answer.
Um, as far as Trey Young and being a villain, I think because he shushed the crowd and stuff like that, it kind of made him a little bit of a villain. I think he's got to do it more than once though to really become a villain. Um, and Knicks fans kind of took it upon themselves and said, "Oh, okay, that's what you did. We're not gonna let you come and disrespect us like that." So he became a villain in that aspect. Across the league, no way, no how is he a villain across the league. He's probably liked by a lot of players, right? He's gonna be like, he's be like one of those Steph Curry guys. You know what I mean? Because he's a little guy. Most people in the country, in the world, are little compared to NBA players, so they can look at him and say, "Hey, this is something that maybe I could do." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's a little guy. So in that aspect, it's no way, in my opinion, is he a villain across the league? You know
And
what I mean?
he didn't have the same energy. As he advanced in the playoffs, he didn't, or they didn't have the same energy. Like it wasn't none of that with they played Philly next.
They
It
played.
wasn't none of that with Philly. and Embiid's the king troller as far as like NBA personalities. So that's what I mean. Like even in that aspect, like they didn't have that energy as they moved forward. You know, they was happy to be there. I guess. You know what I mean? Or at least that's the way I perceived it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Danny?
Yeah, everybody that comes in that kills the Knicks are the villains all the time. That's how it is. Reggie Miller was the villain. Everybody that comes in is the villain. Trey Young, don't get me wrong, he's a good player, and I think we could have beat the Hawks. We should have beat the Hawks. Let's see this year's it'll be a different story. He's got to deal with Kemba. If Kemba's knee is good, Trey better watch out.
And you know that's actually where I was segueing to next. Um, you know, do we think we upgraded enough to be better than the Hawks, a better team than the Hawks?
Yes, I think we have enough. What do you think, Sim?
Do we have enough this year? I don't know. It's hard to say. You know why I say it's hard to say? Because even last year with the Hawks, man, they they were hurt a lot of the season as well. You know what I'm saying? They were hurt. They dealt with a lot of injuries. They were able to bring it together in the end. They're going to gel a little bit more, just like we're going to gel. They're going to gel, and so they're going to get better chemistry wise. I think so. I think the Hawks are going to be a really good team again this year. I think we're going to be a good team as well. You know what I mean? Because I think Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier are going to mix right into the culture and help to promote more chemistry on the offensive side of the ball while maintaining, being a good defensive team. I don't think are we going to be the same defensive team we were last year? Maybe not, right? But I think we're going to make up for it on the offensive side of the ball, which to me could be just as good. If we're still a top 10 defense, but now we're a top 10 offense, we're going to be a better team. So if we face off again in the playoffs, we're not getting beat 4-1. I can guarantee you that. Ain't no two ways about it. It's not happening.
I don't think we getting beat. Not
No, we're
saying
not
we ain't
getting
gonna lose the game, but we ain't losing the series.
No, we're
I
too
don't think
deep.
so.
We're too
I
deep,
mean,
Tony.
but the main thing is 100% health. You know what I mean? We need Mitch healthy. We need Rose healthy. We need Kemba healthy. I mean, we need everybody healthy, but those are the guys that I'm concerned with as far as health. Um, that's a touchy subject. I don't even really want to get into health, because majority of that is luck in my opinion. So let's just hope they're lucky and stay healthy. Um, yeah. Eddie C, what's going on, bro?
What's going on? What's going on?
A couple things we touched up on. Atlanta Hawks trolling the Knicks. My question is it a rivalry yet? Is it becoming a rivalry? Are we on our way to a rivalry? And then Julius' approach is just another game. Yeah, what's your thoughts, man?
So, what's up to everybody? What's up to the chat?
Salute.
I saw you come up, so I decided to check in and say hello to my brethren. How you doing? How's everybody
Appreciate
doing?
Good piece.
So I'm kind of digging it. Since last year's playoff series, it kind of looked like a rivalry to me. Anywhere where you see fans getting into it with players, and the player getting back at the fans. I think there is some bad blood between Atlanta and New York. And this can even go beyond just basketball, as it pertains. Sometimes you hear, and like in the hip hop scene, they say Atlanta is like the new New York now, right? When it comes down to artists and people wanting to be in Atlanta now. People thinking that it's a hub for different types of be it hip hop culture, be it art, and now the basketball is popping basically in Atlanta. They have basically the best player between the New York Knicks and Atlanta and Trey Young. So they might feel a little saucy when they come and they play us. The Garden is always what it is. It brings out the best in the player. And then in turn they can become villains to us, obviously, because we're playing them all the time. So the best part to me is how evenly matched we are. It's not like it's a rivalry where it's like a David against a Goliath. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes there's rivalries and you have no shot in winning the games, and it's a rivalry because of different aspects. At least this rivalry is really, really on par. We match up basically, tit for tat with them at every position. Obviously Trey being the best out of the bunch, but Julius Randle's right behind him at the second best player. So I think you're muted there, Tony.
Don't sleep on Kemba.
I
If
bet.
he's healthy.
Are we better than them this year?
Yes.
Are we better than them than this year? I was thinking about it because you guys were talking about it, right? And I was going down the roster. Their backup point guard. Okay, so they re-signed Lou Williams, right? Okay, so he's still the backup point guard. The difference in the second unit between Atlanta and us is probably Danilo Gallinari. And Obi Toppin just has to step up this year. If Obi Toppin makes that leap, that's a tough question, but I'm gonna go for the New York Knicks because that's my team. Yeah. But it's a very tough question,
I think they picked up a point guard so Lou don't have to play point guard.
I don't know who it is because I was thinking about if they did sign a backup point guard, who it was. Then I remembered Lou Williams signed like a 1 year or 2 year deal for not that much money actually. And then they also drafted Sharif. So it's like Sharif, their third string point guard. And I basically went down the line with Jason Collins, the power forward, and DeAndre Hunter playing small forward for them in the starting lineup, right? So then that would leave Cam Reddish on the bench. That would leave Danilo Gallinari on the bench, Lou Williams, the center Ngaku, right?
Yeah.
Onyeka. And I'm not sure who the backup two is.
I think they picked up DeLon Wright.
Yes, that's what it was.
Okay.
That's what it was.
Oh, that's nice, yeah, because then they can mirror, both of those guys can handle the ball on offense, but on defense, no, that's a good pairing, DeLon Wright. Yeah, like Atlanta's been making shrewd moves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They've drafted well. But the things that we were missing, the Knicks said we were missing like a Kevin Huerter. These were the words from organization that they were looking for, like the next Kevin Huerter, right? They might have said in the draft, I don't know if Quentin Grimes is the next Kevin Huerter. Quentin Grimes is a little different, even though they play the same position. But they signed Evan Fournier, who is, Evan Fournier and Kevin Huerter are basically the same player. Both 6'7", shooting guards. So I guess that's what they were talking about when they were trying to find a player like that.
Yeah, the Knicks were trying to find a player like that ever since last offseason. Remember, they wanted to make a play for Gordon Hayward.
Yes.
Right, who was the same type of a player, but they didn't want to pay him the money that the Charlotte Hornets ended up paying him. So they were looking for that type of player since then. And I think they probably found him in Evan Fournier. I do want to go back to one thing real quick. You were saying about the hip hop, the going outside of basketball, the hip hop rivalry between Atlanta and New York City. I think that's more on the side of Atlanta than New York for real. I mean, like New
I can
York
see
rappers,
that.
New York rappers show a lot of love.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And be like, like I mean, you got a lot of New York rappers who move and live in Atlanta. You know what I mean? Um, it's ATL who kind of is like, yo, how come y'all don't? I guess it goes back to way back in the day when Atlanta was first starting to pop off. People was like, yo, we not rocking with that down south, this, that, and the third. I'm
It
saying, but
was more about the mumble rap. That's what it was. Like New
No,
York
no,
style rap.
even
nah.
way
New York
Before that,
style rap
before that,
is
before
very
that,
lyrical.
yeah, but
before that.
But
even
when they
before
started with what they ended up coining the phrase as mumble rap, that's when probably New York wanted to differentiate themselves because we like, yo, New York, we're lyricists. We're not
Oh yeah.
down with that.
yeah, but I
I
think
think
it was
mumble rap is relatively new. Sim is talking about before that. Like
way
Back
Atlanta
in the days.
and southern hip hop really had to fight
yeah,
just to be heard other than in the South. Like they really had to fight to get their music pushed outside of their local area.
right.
Yeah,
And,
I
and,
remember those times. Like even
and you know,
when Lil Wayne and Birdman and them started too, when they were really in New Orleans starting, like it was hard for them to
it
get
was regional.
pushed.
Everything was regional except New York music and maybe LA music.
Right.
Everything else was pretty much regional.
Right.
So
Right.
when when they finally get their position, they don't forget how hard it was for them before. You know what I mean? And how they were treated before, or everything is opening acts and things of that nature. If you know what I mean. So I get that. I actually was gonna bring that up, Sim, because I didn't know if this would be like stoop content or what. But do you think the the Knicks winning a series against Atlanta would resurge some of New York hip hop? And when I say New York, I mean the city. Shout out to
Yeah.
Buffalo and
I think
Albany, Syracuse.
I think even if the Knicks don't win, if the Knicks are a powerful team and they're gonna face off in the playoffs, I definitely think you could see uh uh New York rappers representing New York, ATL rappers representing ATL. But I think they're gonna make sure it's on some peaceful stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh, of course,
Yeah.
Like
of
you heard a
course.
couple years ago, maybe a year ago, T.I. was, I want to battle 50 Cent. I'm tired of New York rappers, blah, 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 and then him and Buster was, going back and forth on Instagram Live, right? Doing their little thing, but it was all peace though. You know what I mean? T.I. and Buster, it was all peace. It was all cool. And then they talked about doing music together and stuff like that. I think that would be dope though. And
I,
fun. And fun.
I can see a lot of wagers being made. I'll tell you that much. a lot of Bitcoin
Yeah.
on the table.
Yeah, I think that'd be real dope and fun. You know what I mean?
But I think what you're saying is true though. If New York comes out this year as the better team, you would probably see more because we do have following even when we're not good. Like there's still people that represent for the Knicks. Fat Joe is a big Knicks fan. Skazoo always represents for the Knicks. So there's a lot of, and then now more on the like the new wave. Dipset did their thing last year with the Keith collection. Oh, so now they had the Keith collection, which was clothing mixed in with the hip hop, mixed in with the rebirth of this organization and the New York Knicks. So you can see like the beginnings of something that can grow even more. You know what I'm saying? I could just imagine right now if Biggie was alive, how he would be repping for Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah.
He would.
And we'd be, you know what I mean? We'd be like, damn, man.
Yeah,
I be hurt for real, for
You know
real.
what?
I
On the
be
real,
hurt.
you
on the
know
real
what it
though,
would
I
have done.
think Biggie would rep both. I ain't gonna front. I think Biggie would rep both.
And
I don't know, Sim. Like,
even
you know,
nah, I
He'll
think
rep
Brooklyn,
he would have
for
been
them,
an
Brooklyn,
ambassador. So
because
I
they
don't
have
think
a
he could
lot
have.
of.
I mean, I
I'm
think
sorry. Go ahead, Tony. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
definitely would have rep Brooklyn hard. But
I
I
think what would have happened, Sin,
uh
I think a lot of the other rappers, especially non-Brooklyn rappers, would have
right.
had to choose a side. And I think so you would have seen more guys showing their Knicks support just because you know what I mean. Like it's hard when you're not from Brooklyn. It's hard to just rep Brooklyn. You know what I mean? Like in
It's
that
true.
aspect.
It's
But
true.
if you're not, you don't have to be from Manhattan necessarily to rep the Knicks. If that
Yeah,
makes sense.
it goes towards the five boroughs. Brooklyn is the one that reps the borough itself, and you could look at it as a disadvantage because it's just one borough. But in actuality, in hip hop culture, it's not a disadvantage. Like I was just saying, yeah, imagine Biggie being alive, just repping, just making rhymes all day about KD and Kyrie. You know what I mean, or and James Harden coming to play for Brooklyn now. I could just imagine it. And yeah, like you were saying, I'd be hurt, man, because Biggie was one of my favorites. And then I remember my favorite rapper of all time, which is Pun. I could see him being a Knicks fan, you know what I mean? And a big dude with a big New York Knicks jersey.
I
You
mean,
know what I
look at
mean? And it would be like friendly, like friendly competition in the hip hop scene between the Knicks and the Nets. I think that would be beautiful, man. And
Pun would have
I think
either
there's a
been right
spot for
there
that. There's a spot for that.
beside Fat Joe, obviously that connection, or he would have repped for a random team that happened to be his favorite team. You know what I mean? Like because
Who, Pun?
yeah. He either
I
would have
think it
been
would have
right
been. I
beside
think it would
Joe,
have been.
or
I
he
think
might
it.
have been like a Golden State
Well,
Warrior fan or some you know what I mean, some odd team like yo, how you but that would be
it'd
like yo,
be.
I always like that team. You know what I mean? Because
I'm.
he
I
was
don't
just
know.
that kind
Like,
of dude.
listen. Of course, I don't know, but I think Pun would have been a Knicks fan. Even without Joe, I think they would have been a Knicks fan. And they're like twins, right? They say they're twins. So if you're a twin, you have a lot in common with your twin. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think Fat Joe would have had it any other way. Like you're like, nah, you repping NY. You're not repping Brooklyn, all right? Like we're not doing that. But at the same time, Khaled reps Miami. So to each his own, and Khaled and Joe are like this too. So to each his own, man, and but all that stuff is beautiful stuff, man. All that stuff is beautiful, man.
Yes, sir. Um, D Rose officially re-signed, so that is definitely official.
Yeah.
Happy to see that. Um, what are you looking forward to the most? This coming season, like, is there a game you're looking forward to the most, or um, is there a matchup you're looking forward to the most?
Um, I really want those Atlanta Hawks matchups. I think those are gonna be fun. Um, Obviously the Brooklyn matchups are gonna be fun. But what I'm really just looking forward to next year is growth, like the growth of the New York Knicks, because we're on that train now. You know what I'm saying? Like before, we weren't where we're supposed to be, but right now we're on that train, and the wheels are turning. You know what I'm saying? And the wheels are turning, and we on that journey to where we want to be. So we have to get better next year as a team. Not necessarily we don't have to win as many games. We don't have to be in a certain standing in the standings. But if the Knicks put in effort like they did last year, if the young players develop like they did last year, if everything is falling into place even more, I'm 100% cool with that as a Knicks fan, and I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for my time. Everybody has their time, and our time will come where we can stick out our chest and really rep and say, "Yo, we here." You know what I mean?
That's a fact. That's a fact. Kavan, so what do you think about the trade? For Fournier, it ended up being a sign and trade, and we picked up two second round picks. Um, Shrewd move by the front office, man. It's like these guys, these guys are collecting assets and making smart decisions at the same time. It's like it's almost like getting paid to do something you was gonna do anyway. You know what I mean?
I, I, I'm I'm most likely Boston was the one that initiated the conversation because you don't know what they want to do with that trade exception.
Yeah, I mean it helped
Um,
both teams.
yeah, because I think Boston feels like they should be better than next year, and obviously Jaylen Brown is coming back. Tatum will be there. Al Horford is coming back, so they have a center who's been in the system before. Their team is they're hoping their team will be better next year. So if they need that trade exception to bring in somebody to fortify something, um, they could make a move in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, but
And
I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks brought it to them. I
yeah,
mean,
I mean, I
it could
really
have
don't know,
it could have went either way, but I wouldn't be
right?
surprised just going off of the type of moves that the Knicks have been making since for this past year.
And you can see what you can do with those second round picks. If you have multiple second round picks, you can move two or three to move up in the second round and grab a second round a player you like. Those deals aren't guaranteed, so there's always players that slip into the second round that have first round value, but you don't have to pay them as much as a first rounder. Miles McBride being a perfect example of somebody who probably could have gone at the end of the first round, but now you're able to pay him less, have a non-guaranteed contract, have a be more manageable on the contract side, but still develop the player. And now that we have so much that we can do in the G League, those second round players, that they pick the best out of the bunch, they can just go and play in the G League and just get better there until they're ready for the big club. It's looking pretty nice. I don't remember a time where I can say it's like, yo, they coming out the woodworks now. You know what I mean? Like anything you want, we got it, bro.
I mean, the moves have been, you know, something I think a lot of us haven't seen. Especially from us from outside, we've watched it be things like that be done all the time throughout the league, and it's like, man, I wish why we lose every trade, you know what I mean, every move we make. It's like, man, why we lose or don't understand it. And even the people who question moving down in the draft, even moving down with those first round picks, same thing. We have to pay them less money. You know what I mean? And we still picked up guys in positions of need or positions of value for us, because I don't think we necessarily need those guys just yet. Like I've been saying, I think they're gonna grow into their roles. But yeah, man, the front office moves. I was just talking about adding those picks, Sim,
Oh,
in the sign and trade for Fournier.
yeah.
Just shrewd moves
Yep.
all around.
Yep. Nice move, man. Nice move. I think it's a 2023 pick and then a 2022 pick from Charlotte that
58
I think
for
it's like top 55 protected or something like
yeah.
that. And the Knicks gave up some cash considerations to Boston for it, and then Boston is going to get a trade exception. So it works out for everybody all the way around. The Knicks collect some more assets that they're going to be able to use,
Yeah,
whenever.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Maybe for something big. Maybe for some more small things. Maybe flip them. But yeah, it, this is it, it's like I don't understand. Well, I don't see much anger in the Knicks fan. I think the first day or two of free agency, it was a lot of like, what are we doing? You know, what's going on? Oh, they used up all the money and this and that. But I think for the most part, most of the Knicks fans are at the very least optimistic. But I think a lot of us are excited. Um, yeah, I know myself. I'm excited. It's hard to put predictions on it. It's hard to see how good we actually can be. But the more I think about it, the conclusion I keep coming up with is we got better from last year. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that means we still have to overachieve and surprise, but I don't think we drop off too much. I think it's really about how much can we improve and how much maybe some of the other teams improved around us.
I think for myself, Tony, I actually have to readjust my thinking when it comes to like how many wins you think the Knicks should get, how good the Knicks are, and all these questions, because I think my evaluations have come a lot on the past, and it's not the same anymore. So I think even I have to reevaluate my evaluations, because like you could still ask me right now, and I'm like, we're probably gonna win something like 40 something, being mad conservative. You know what I'm saying? Just being real conservative, and I think I have to check that, because the team is getting better. The construction of the team looks to be getting better. Like last year, the team wasn't even constructed properly, and we still came out and played very well. This year, you can see that the team construction is better. The draft picks that we took, all of them fit into what we're doing. The free agents that we signed, all of them fit what we needed. We needed a shot creator. We got that in Kemba. We needed somebody that we can give the ball to at the end of games. You know, Julius Randle is probably not that type of player, and that's okay. Like, as long as he gives us what he gives us during the game, that's fine. But you know, Kemba might go 0 for 20, but he's still gonna get that ball at the end of the shot, and you still want him to have that ball at the end of the game to make the shot. So that's a very important piece. Having another shooter on the other side, like Fournier, is important, so that RJ can be on the other side. You know what I'm saying? All and then we keep on saying to ourselves, okay, we need a stretch five for Randle, because you know it would open up the floor for Julius Randle. Offensively, yes, but a lot of the stretch fives don't usually do both. Miles Turner maybe is one that can get you defend the rim and shoot the 3-pointer. I don't know how well he's been shooting the 3-pointer, but he takes them, right? But when we're talking about the other side of the court, you really do need a rim protecting defensive big man next to Julius Randle, because Julius Randle is really not going to give you that rim protection. So even that aspect of it is like, okay, these guys know what it is that they need, even if we're starting from defense and then looking at the offense second. Because if you have a stretch five out there on defense, it'll probably be looking bad. There'll be a lot of layups being given away, because stretch fives usually don't defend well or
I don't
defend the rim well.
I don't know
There's
if
not
that
that many
I don't
that are
know if
like
that
that are out
I
there
don't
like
know
that.
if that necessarily correlates. It's two different sides of the floor. So I mean, why if you're a good shooting big man, you can't or you don't play defense? Like I think it's
No, I said
actually somewhat of
most of the stretch fives are not really good defenders, because they like to play they're more finesse players. So, you know, a defender is more, to me, is somebody who's a little bit more heavy footed, you know, and down to the floor a little bit more than finesse players. Um, Obi Toppin is probably not one of those guys, and he's a finesse player. You know what I'm saying? But he stretches the floor. On another team, he probably can be a stretch. He probably can be a small ball five, but
I
we
don't
don't
even
use
know
him
if
in
I
that
would consider
capacity at
Obi
all.
finesse. I
Huh?
mean, he's been finesse maybe in the NBA, but that wasn't like signing him. I mean, drafting him. It wasn't like, oh, this finesse player. You know what I mean? We was expecting him to be
Yeah,
banging down low.
yeah. I don't see Obi as. I don't think he has the footwork to be a finesse player. I mean, the dunks, look nice, but I don't, see him having the footwork to be a finesse player. I mean, I think as long as you bringing in the right stretch five, if you're bringing in one, as long as you bring in the right one, it can work. You know what I mean? And I don't think it's only for Julius. In the past, it was for Julius Randle. You're like, hey, if we have Julius Randle, you got to have a Bobby Portis type of a guy because Julius Randle can't shoot the three. As long as Julius Randle comes back this year and can shoot the three, he don't have to shoot it at 42% like he did this year, but last year. But if he comes back and he can shoot it at a high 30s, then your need for a stretch big isn't as great. But having a stretch five just opens up so much more that you can do because now it brings that big man, maybe even shot blocking big man out of the paint, which opens up the lanes for more than just Randall. It's going to open up the lanes for Kemba, for RJ, for Evan, for all of them, and even for Derrick Rose, for all of them guys to get to the bucket. You know what I mean?
Shout out to you, Greg G. He talking about you, Sim. I ain't mad at you, bro.
For sure,
That's
for
the,
sure, for
that's
sure.
that's that's the OG. That's why he on here. Oh, so I had a couple things I was gonna say. Um, back to Eddie, you made me think of do you? So I'm asking both of you guys. You think Kemba's the automatic closer? Like that, he's our closer automatically.
I
Or
don't think.
because I think a possibility, one of the things that can happen, like what'll change, like let's say Randall could still be a closer. Not saying he thrived in that role, but he's going to be in a different position now. If he's closing, he's not going to be double teamed. You know what I mean? If he's closing, he might actually have an open shot because Kemba's penetrating and dishing. Or so when you say closer, are you saying just the shot, or are you saying the decision maker?
Well, it really is everything, right? Because when you're the closer, that means you're the person with the ball in the hand at the end of the game, and you're relied upon to make the best decision, be it take a shot, drive to the lane, kick out, whatever the basketball play gives you, really. You know what I'm saying? But if it's just to make a shot, um, I think Kemba is the one guy on the team that I'm okay with, giving the ball to and talking about, hey, you make it, you make it. If you miss it, you miss it. You know what I'm saying? He's been doing it forever since he was in college. Um, especially if you can um give a pick and put a big man on him, like a screen before the end of the shot clock, get a big man on him. I mean, he can cut him up pretty easily and get his shot off. It's just if he's gonna make it or not. So I really do think that he was one of the pieces that was missing, which was a shot creator, and a person who can get his shot off at the end of a game. And no, it's going to be beautiful for Julius as well because, like you said, if Julius finds himself open, it's going to be much easier for him to get a shot than to just bully his way into it and get a layup or try to get his turnaround jump shot, which he can hit. It's just having different options, and I think I'd rather have the ball in the guard's hand
Oh
at
no,
that point.
I definitely agree. It'll be in his hands. I just don't know if he's gonna be like, I'm taking a shot, and like he's not gonna have tunnel vision in that decision. He's gonna make the right read. It's one of the things he said in the press conference. It's one of the things that he he also said how unselfish he is, which I think a lot of people underrate that. They think he's just a scoring guard, but he makes the right decision. He makes the right reads. So I think that's gonna be vital. So I don't know if he's gonna, because the ball's in his hand, I think he's gonna be focused on from the other team, which means somebody else is gonna be open. Maybe they want somebody else to take the last shot, but now it's gonna be a better shot. You know what I mean? Randle, on the other hand, just one of my very few knocks on Randle was he wanted that last shot no matter what. You could tell. You know what I mean? It was numerous times where he didn't necessarily make the right read. I won't go as far as to say he took a bad shot. He has at the end of the game, but that wasn't the MO. A lot of times he did get a clean look or whatever the case. But I knew, he knew, the defense knew he was taking that shot. You know what I mean? Where I don't think Kemba's going to come in with that type of mindset. I think he's going to actually just read the defense.
I would
And to
actually
me, that's
love
a
it.
beautiful thing.
I would love it if this was already all planned out. So that means everybody knows exactly where they have to be. That's what I think the most important part of adding a Kemba Walker to the team was that now everybody knows his place on the offense and on the defense. Not because Kemba's going to have the ball in his hand all the time, not because he's going to score this, that, or the third. No, because that means everybody knows exactly where they have to be on offense, on defense, last second shot clocks. When at the end of the game, when Kemba has the ball, RJ Barry's gonna know, okay, he's gonna either shoot it or I gotta be ready for a shot. Julius Randle is gonna be the same way. Everybody else on the court is gonna be the same way, and it's just gonna create synergy. For how many times it's gonna happen during the season, or if he makes or misses, it's just gonna be something that's known. And on defense as well, because now you don't have to cross defend. Like when we play Atlanta, like Trey's gonna be guarding Kemba and Kemba's gonna be guarding Trey. Ain't gonna be no cross defending where we're gonna have somebody else guard him and then Kevin's gonna guard Kevin Herter
Well,
or something like that.
at this point, they can't move Trey to Reggie Bullock. You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. So the cross defenses is not gonna mess us up. Everybody's gonna be guarding man up who they're playing. So that also just adds synergy to the flow of the game and knowing where to be in your spots and everything like that.
Yeah. I wouldn't discount Julius Randle getting better in that closeout area though, especially this year, because even last year, when he closed out games, a lot of times his shot was under duress. You know what I'm saying? And this year I think it's going to change because one, like a team like Atlanta or San Antonio who wants to play that amoeba type of defense where they don't fully double him hard, they just kind of show that double team and now he's got to make a decision on what to do. They can't do that because you got other guys that can score the basketball and they got to respect Kemba Walker and they got to respect Evan Fournier. So I think it's going to open it up for Julius Randle to make more of those shots. One, you just got more offensive players on the floor. And two, throughout the game, everything doesn't have to depend on Julius Randle. Julius Randle can rest throughout the game this year. Like last year, he could never rest throughout the game. Everything went through Julius Randle on everything, right? He had the ball in his hands 80% of the time. You know what I mean? Because he was the player that would collapse the defense and so he can kick it out. You know what I mean? Sometimes he was bringing the ball up the floor and then he had to, grab rebounds. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he had to do a lot last year. This year, he's going to have more chances to sit in the corner and let Fournier and Kemba Walker go to work. So he can rest while he's on in the corner and chill. He can go 3, 4, 5 possessions without getting a shot. So now when that fourth quarter comes, he's a little bit fresher to be able to make that shot. Right. So I think this year you really do find out, is it mental that it's hard for him to make those shots in the last minute? Or was it physical last year because he was tired at the end of the game? Because he was playing under so much duress throughout the game. I think we'll be able to see. We'll learn a lot about it this year.
And Sim, you made a great point, because I want to say, off my memory, it wasn't just down a stretch for Randle. The fourth quarter, he seemed to dip off, like the entire fourth quarter. And I'm talking about like throughout the season. So that, that might be, it may not even been just down the stretch. I mean, obviously that stands out because that's the ending of the game that's affecting the end result. But, now that I think about it, I remember him, he never really had, he wasn't having good fourth quarters. You know what I mean? He had a first first three. You know what I mean? Sometimes first half, but he never seemed to close out games for that whole fourth quarter strong. So that that is a good point. Another important thing for him getting rest is going to be Obi's development, and I definitely like the change of speed. It seems like he's caught up to the NBA pace a little bit. Obviously, of summer league. I love the aggression that we've seen from him in summer league. I think he's going to need that as well. So my question is, what are we going to need to see from Obi definitively to, one, maybe him jump his minutes up to like 15 minutes a game or more?
I think the main thing, at least for me, that I want to see from Obi is that his defense and rebounding. He did a great job in the summer league rebounding. He averaged like 9.3 rebounds a game in the summer league. If he can do that same thing in the NBA, play defense and rebound the basketball, he'll be able to spell Randle for longer periods, because you can rely on quickly Burks and Derrick Rose to score. Really bear that burden of scoring. And then find him on the fast break, find him on the alley-oop, find him for a corner three. He doesn't have to try to create a shot. It doesn't have to be on his shoulders to score. He can just rebound and defend. And I think that right there will get him more minutes on the floor. And then a byproduct of that is that he's going to score more points.
Yeah, I agree. He has to. To me, for him to get more minutes next year, he's gonna have to defend the main position. He's gonna have to start defending some threes. He's gonna have to get better defending the perimeter. And then I can see him getting at least 10 minutes just at the three next year, because it seems like we're a little slim there. If Knox doesn't come out playing, we have Alec Burks, who's really not that good of a defender at 6'7", more of a two guard to me than a three. I think Obi can steal some minutes there at the backup three, if he plays good perimeter defense and other stuff that Sim was saying, rebounding the ball well. Because his offense, to me, I don't have a problem with his offense at all. Like, I know that's gonna come. I know he's gonna hit some 3-pointers. I know he's gonna get some layups, some alley-oop dunks. So all in all, that'll equate to me for about 10 points a game next year. But his rebounding has to go up, and his perimeter defense, and if he can average maybe a steal a game for me, I think that'll be huge for him. That'll be huge for him, and that'll be huge for us, man. Get his hands in there, get a little touch your defender, feel up, you know what I'm saying? Steal the ball, do some of those things, block 3-point shots, and I've seen him do some of those things. So that's what I need from him. Just like one steal a game, maybe 0.5 blocks per game, 0.7 blocks per game, and he'll be fine with me, man.
He's definitely been more active on the perimeter defensive side that so far. One of the things that is so bothersome to me, for me, about Obi is, like, and he can shoot hypothetically 50% from three, but it feel like the ones he miss be so bad. You know what I mean? Like air balls. Like, I feel like he shoot an air ball three once a game at the least. And he still might end up with shooting 40% at the end of the game from three, but those bad ones be so bad. I don't know why, but that bothers me. so
When he
much.
rushes them, that's what happens. And you can tell, like he rushes it and it's way off. But when he's makes a compact form and shoots, I mean he's fine to me. He's an average 3-point shooter, which is great for a power forward to be.
I think he could be better than average. You know, because
I would hope he would be.
my thought, and maybe it was my coach growing up, because he was get fumed if you shot an air ball, because his thing was, if you hit the rim, it might bounce in. You know what I mean? Like,
That's it.
so that stuck with me. You know what I mean? So, you hit the rim, it might bounce in. You don't hit the rim, like it's
That's
like
it.
now you're depending on a random rebound.
That's it, man. In my practices, we do this drill where everyone lines up on the baseline. One player goes up, shoots 2 free throws. If you make both of them, nobody runs. If you miss one, everybody runs down and back one time, down and back one time. If you miss both of them, you go down and back twice. If you shoot an air ball, that counts as 2 misses. Right? So if you miss both shots and both shots are air balls, you're going down and back 4 times. You know what I'm saying?
How are you as a free throw shooter, Sim?
As a free throw shooter, I shot about 85% from the free throw line.
Wow, man, that's awesome, bro.
But I practiced it all the time. Like before, the reason why I practice free throws so much is because it was also form shooting for me. Right? Because you sit there, boom, you get on your spot, and then you use your form.
And I could tell right now you don't waste any motion on that free throw, right?
Man, I have my whole routine. I get up there, get my foot lined up into
I can see it.
Slam.
Like me, I'm pretty bad at basketball. Like I go and I play, but I'm not that good playing basketball.
Mm-hmm.
But like I'm really smart, so I can like help coach and stuff like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? I can see things that my body can't do. You know what I mean? But like I'm really good at analyzing and seeing things on the court. And I say I suck. I'm okay. Not as bad as Isaiah, but
it's pretty hard to do.
You know what I mean? So, I've been playing basketball since I was 11 years old, man. Playing against 30-year-old men. Scared to go in and had to develop a jump shot. So nowadays, I'm like Kevin Love, just shooting 3-pointers and rebounding. You know what I mean? But I'm also a great passer. I have very good vision. So that's what helps me, when I come to analyzing games and analyzing players. Like, are you a lefty, Sim?
No, I'm right-handed.
You right-handed, but you like going left?
I'm right-handed. I go left because I like to come back to my right to pull up. I go left.
All right, that's gonna be great to know when I go down and play with y'all.
It don't matter though. Everybody says, it's great to know I know exactly what he's gonna do, but they have a hard time.
Stop it.
You still gotta stop it.
I'm pretty sure, bro.
Check this out. My first time ever playing basketball, like in I'm not gonna say like a league, but it was like organized basketball. You know what I mean? Referee and things of that nature. I was probably like 8 years old. I was at the YMCA, and it was just like the random tournament that they put together. You know what I mean? But they brought the refs in and gave us uniforms or whatever. So I never played in that setting. I just played around like by myself or with the kids on the block or whatever the case. And they didn't put me in the whole game. Like I begged to get put in. They don't put me in. End of the game, they put me in. Like we down to put me in, and I'm at the free throw line. Like right off the back, they fouled me and put me on the free throw line. So this is my very first possession, and I missed the first free throw. So I say all that. I made the second one, but it didn't matter. We lost by 1. But free throws is what I worked on. Like if you talk about hours put in, like to this day, I got to do free throws first for 30 minutes if I'm doing 2 hours. You know what I mean? 15 minutes if I'm doing an hour. You know what I mean? Like I gotta put the free throw work in just because of that. Like my first experience, I missed the free throw and I missed the first one. So it, you know what I mean? Like everybody was like, oh, you know what I mean? Like,
Right. Yeah.
And
I mean,
if y'all do that stuff like that, I'm gonna get beat up when I go over there and play with y'all, man. Like I don't do none of that. I never practice free throw shooting. I never practice anything. I just go out and I play basketball like
shoot,
every weekend.
I mean, I when I was playing ball, high school, college, when I worked out, I mean, I shot mad free throws. I'm on, right? And that was one of the biggest. Like I said, it was form shooting for me. But like before practice, I was shooting free throws. In between, the coach said you can get water, shoot 5, 10 free throws. You know what I mean? I was just always shooting free throws because one, I got to the line because I went to the basket. And for me, it was like, yo, it's free, man. I mean, like, but there's pressure when you're on the line too. It's a free without defense, but there's pressure because a lot of people shoot well out of being a rhythm shooter. So 1, 2 dribbles, pull up. Crossover between the legs, pull up. You know what I mean? And it's all in a rhythm. You know what I mean? So when you're on the free throw line, it kind of breaks that rhythm a little bit because you're used to having a defender in front of you. Having a defender in front of you sometimes helps you to focus in a little bit better. So now you're on a free throw line and it's just you and the rim. So it's a little harder than people think.
To me, I mean, I think I'm an okay shooter. Like if you leave me open, like I'm gonna hit the shot, right? But when it comes to free throws, I'm probably like 50-50. You know what I mean? I might be the guy that if you need the free throw to make the team, like I probably be the first one to hit it. But if I'm shooting free throws, I probably make one, miss one, and it's not a root. I don't take it that serious, I guess.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. But I do know if you leave me open, I'm gonna shoot it.
Listen, I've been in all kinds of situations shooting free throws. I've been in a game before where, I made like 8 free throws in a row down the stretch of the game to win the game. And then I was in a situation in men's league where I was I got the rebound, went back up and got fouled, went to the free throw line, right? And the game was tied. No, we were up 2. I could have put us up 4, and I missed both of them. I wasn't nervous. I was calm. They was both on point, but both of them came up short. The other team, they got the rebound, they come down, they score, send it to overtime. We lose the championship in overtime.
Oh man.
Championship. The next year we came back and won the championship, but we could have won 2 years in a row. I missed those 2.
Everybody the next day on the podcast couldn't succumb to the pressure. Simeon Russell succumbs to the pressure at the end of the game.
Back to the rhythm shooters shooting at the free throw. That's why a lot of people have to come up with a routine so they have some type of rhythm at the free throw line.
Right.
Get comfortable there. I got another question for both you guys. What do you think is the most important part of RJ's growth right now? Like would you rather him be a lockdown scorer and come up with the same statistical numbers offensively, or would you rather his numbers jump a lot offensively and his defense remains exactly where it is?
So
and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with his defense at this point, but
so let me jump in there because I gotta head to practice after this. I want to see growth from RJ. I want to see the efficiency rise from the field. Shot decent from the 3-point line. I want to see the efficiency in all the areas rise because he might get less shot attempts this year. Right. So I want to see the efficiency go up and then his defense get better. I want to see his ability to score on the fast break because during the season, if he was on a fast break, I was nervous. I didn't know what was about to happen. Him and Alec Burks was terrible on the break. You know what I mean? So I want to see him be able to score on a fast break because he can get some easy buckets that way. I think the Knicks might play a little bit faster this year with Kemba and Evan Fournier. They got a higher IQ, and to play on a fast break, I think you got to have a high IQ. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to make quick decisions when you're on a fast break. You don't have time to think.
Leading the break, right?
Leading the break or even
finishing.
running the break. You know what I'm saying? Running the lanes because you got to know where to run to. You see where your point guard is going now. You got to know where to run to. You know what I mean? To make sure that you're available for the, for the pass, or to make sure that you're not bunched up with two other players on one side of the floor. So it takes a good basketball IQ to run a fast break. It's not just running up the floor. You know what I mean? When you're in a half court set, people can tell you where to go, where to be before the play starts. So I want to see RJ be able to execute a fast break, keep his, raise his efficiency in defense.
I agree. But I was saying RJ specifically, you think he was bad at running the break or finishing? I think he was good at finishing. I think when he had to make the decision as far as running the fast break, I think that's where
I think
he's kind of iffy.
I think making the decision, but I also think running the lanes, not finishing, but running the lanes. And I felt like all of them were pretty bad at running lanes.
I was gonna say a lot of times I didn't put that on him. It seemed like somebody else was like, "Yo, you didn't see RJ? RJ was ahead of you." You know what I mean? Like, he ran right to where he is.
But even a lot of times, and it was all of them. Like even when they ran the lanes, like you want players, you want one or two players spreading out to the 3-point lines, right? So, when I teach my players, we do a drill, we get it off the backboard, and we have a whole fast break offense that we use that goes through your initial fast break, a secondary, and a third break before we even set up the offense, right? So it's like you're on a fast break and it goes into a whole offensive set, and then it sets up the offense. The first thing we teach our wings is to get outside the 3-point line. Don't run inside the 3-point lines. You want to be outside the 3-point lines because that's going to open up the floor so your big man can flash down and run down the center of the court. Now, obviously, if you get up the court, you're running it outside the 3-point lines, and you get up the court and you got a lane to the basket, you take it, whether you have the ball or if it's on a pass. A lot of times I would see the Knicks and there would be 3 people running the fast break in between the 3-point lines, right? So you're talking about now they're running in that mid-range area, which makes the floor even smaller.
Yeah.
And your defender can now I can be on the ball, and then you make the pass. I could take 2 steps over here and I defend the guy that's on the wing. So they got to learn how to get out there on the wings, open up that floor for the fast break. That's the importance of having 3-point shooters too. It's not just for the half court set, it's also for that fast break, because 3-point shooters naturally run to the 3-point line and they're a threat. So now defenders get like, oh, do I let these guys get the lane, or do I leave Evan Fournier open for 3 because I know he can knock it down? So it's that's why it takes a good basketball IQ to run on the fast break. A team with a bad basketball IQ a lot of times may not run the fast break well unless they're just getting a steal and running up the court. So
yeah. Sim, appreciate you jumping on, man.
No doubt.
I'll see you tonight,
man.
You coming on tonight?
I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to
know
tonight.
Let me know.
At the gym until like 9 o'clock, 10 or something like that. So it's gonna be kind of late.
No doubt.
All right, man.
Appreciate you, bro.
Everybody. Appreciate y'all.
Eddie C, what are you looking for? What do you think the biggest area of improvement for, or what would you prefer?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm answering the question, but what I would like to see from RJ is more of Olympic RJ. You know what I'm saying? More of a person. I would like for him to feel like he knows he's better than whoever's guarding him. I want to see that type of tenacity on the court where he's like, this guy in front of me is not going to be able to stop me no matter what. You know what I mean? And I think he does that when he plays with the Canadian national team. And he's just playing free. That's what I think I want RJ to play a little bit more freely. Do his thing, make mistakes, but just play with tenacity and no fear against whoever he's playing with. Just say to himself, I'm better than this guy, whoever it is. It could be one of the best in the league, but at least take that challenge. And I think he does that on a nightly basis. But now he's getting older. You know what I'm saying? So now you can feel yourself when you're 19 and 20. You can probably feel like, these guys, da da da. But when you start getting older, 20, 22, 23, you start feeling yourself. Start feeling more like a man. You start feeling, the power. So, just go do your thing. You've been in the league already for about 3 years. You know what I'm saying? So you're not a rookie. You're not learning. You're in it now. So let's just go and be that best player on the court. I want him to feel like that every game now.
Mm. See, I kind of have a different approach. I don't like, not saying I want him to regress at all, but very similar to what Sim was saying. I think if he could just focus in on that defense, because I think like if he could take up that role that Bullock had last year of guarding the best perimeter guy on the other team, because I think it is gonna fall on him before it falls on Fournier. And if he could embrace that role and then just honestly let the rest of the game come to him, I think he could get less shots, be more efficient, and give you the same or even more production. You know, but the focus has to be on the defensive end. You know, and I could be wrong. Maybe Fournier is up for that task because I'm not one of those guys who say he's a bad defender. You know what I mean.
Me either.
I think he's a very underrated defender. If anything, I think he's scrappy. I think he plays passing lanes well.
And I think
And,
even if by any chance somebody gets to interview him, I think that's a fair question to ask him. Um, we all know about his offensive prowess. What do you say to the critiques about the defense? Just to see where his head is at when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a fair question, not because he's a bad defender, but when you talk about Evan Fournier, you talk more about his offensive skill set than his defense on the wing.
mm-hmm.
And that's both of those are going to be important to the team. Those are fabrics of the team, being able to defend your position and um, what do you call that? The offense, a specific type of offense, right? So yeah, I mean he's going to have to answer those defensive questions because those are the things that pop out when you talk about Evan Fournier. Like when you talk about Evan Fournier, you ain't talking about Evan Fournier ball handling. You ain't talking about Evan Fournier's 3-point shooting, his free throw shooting. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about, oh, can he defend? So that's something that I would like to hear from him. What he
And
thinks about that, because I'm pretty sure he works hard at it. I'm pretty sure, they have schemes and everything. But what does he think when people say that about his game?
the same can be said for Kemba. I think he's also underrated. I think people undervalue the rate that he takes charges. I think people undervalue his playing the passing lanes as well. Um, Now, granted, I keep saying in the NBA, it's hard for anybody to guard anybody one on one. It's really all about effort and it's all about basketball IQ. You know what I mean? Make the right reads, give the right effort, and live with the results. To me, that's a good defender. You know what I mean? Or to me, that person you can't call a bad defender. Let me rephrase it that way. You know what I mean? If you're living with the results, you're playing hard, you're in the right position, you got your hand up, um, you got to live with the results. You know what I mean? Offense is gonna win more times than not in a one-on-one situation.
Hundred
So,
percent true, man.
so
100% true.
that's my stance. I don't think we lose. I don't think we lose too much at the point guard position. I don't think we lose too much at the two. my question is that 3 position, that position that Bullock was guarding, because we saw the toll it took when he was out, when he missed a couple games. Our defense kind of slacked off a little bit. You know what I mean? He had a good switchability. I think Fournier will have good switchability, but I don't know how he is one-on-one. Like, this is my guy tonight. You know what I mean?
I get
So
you. I get what you're saying.
So it's gonna be tough, man. It is, but I think we got Tibbs, we got the defensive scheme, we got the defensive coach. He's gonna make sure that's the first thing that they working on day in and day out anyway. So I'm definitely very optimistic. Any last words you want to touch up on? I think I'm gonna get out of here too.
I just it's gonna be a few months until we get a start training camp. So we're gonna have a lot, to talk about. We're not gonna have a lot to talk about when it comes to like the New York Knicks. So we have to come up with ideas and things so we can keep the ball rolling until regular season starts. So just for anybody that needs their Knicks fix, it's gonna keep on happening. Content creators are gonna keep on creating. So we can have dialogue and have fun with this stuff, podcasting. I'll also like for you guys to please subscribe to the Basketball Zombie podcast, with your host Eddie C. Yesterday we had Andy on the podcast talking grading summer league play. It was a great show. So I would invite you guys to come and check us out. I usually post a short before I do a live, and then I set the time so that people could come in, so they know when the show's about to start. But besides that, that's it, man. Thank you for passing me the link, man, and inviting me as always, bro. So we could talk these Knicks. We could talk this Knicks talk.
For sure. One of these days we'll get on the same page, and I can get on yours. But any Monday, any Wednesday, as long as you tell me a time, I'm free those days. Anything else,
No
I
doubt.
gotta kind of work around my work schedule. But I appreciate you coming on, man. As always, shout out to the chat. Eddie C, Sim, appreciate you. Blanche Tier, shout out for the love earlier. MBK fam, everybody. Black is time. Peace.
Black is time. Peace.